Shout out Josh Robbins of The Athletic. We're talking about the latest Washington Wizards NBA trade deadline information. Trade deadline's on February 9th. We heard rumblings about Kyle Kuzma, Hachimura, and let's get right into it. So, does this current roster construction strategy work? Does it have a chance of succeeding? This is a team that, look, this is a team, they have a plan. It's just more difficult to describe and challenging to visualize than tanking, blowing up the roster, bottoming out, and trying to land a top draft pick. The plan for the Wizards is to build around Bradley Beal to acquire as many talented players as possible, develop the young players already on the roster, and attempt to win now. By winning now, perhaps the team could become more attractive in free agency. Meanwhile, the Wizards will attempt to be proactive in the trade market. This is the build from the middle build approach that the Wizards officials have thought the team has a better chance of succeeding than tanking because of the lottery form measures that went into effect in 2019. It's now more difficult for a bottomed out team to win a top 3 lottery pick. A team with one of the league's worst records has a 14% chance to win the first pick, 13.4 to receive the second, and 12.7 to receive the third. So you might think that this middle build strategy is not working, at least for the season. And they arguably regressed compared to last season. They're 18-26, the sixth worst record in the NBA. And Wizards fans know that injuries have hampered this team. I think right here, this is a team that the Wizards are in front of the Orlando Magic, Houston Rockets, San Antonio Spurs, Detroit Pistons, and Charlotte Hornets. But this is a team that Beal, Porziņģis, and Kuzma have only played 21 games together. They're 9-12, if you include the loss that Beal was, re-aggravated his injury. But look, I think right now, I don't see this team abandoning the middle build and going into a full rebuild. I still give another 2 years for Bradley Beal to leave. And let's move on to what Kyle Kuzma will do. Kuzma will not sign an extension because the NBA rules on veteran extensions would limit his earning power. He intends to decline his player option this offseason and become an unrestricted free agent in July. Look, the Wizards need to know before the trade deadline whether Kuzma will resign with them. I've said that before. If you talk with Kuzma and his agent, and they say no, we're not resigning with you, even if you offer us the most money. So Kuzma intends to leave Washington free agency or is waffling on whether he'll remain. The team must trade him before the deadline to ensure that they receive something back in return. The Wizards cannot afford to see him sign somewhere else, though the Wizards have signaled they would want to retain Kuzma long term. Porziņģis has largely avoided injuries that plagued him for much of his career so far with the Wizards. He's played 39 of the Wizards' 44 games. He's played like an all-star. 22.2 points, 8.8 rebounds, 2.5 assists, 1.5 blocks, and he's a player option for $36 million. And on Monday, Porziņģis told The Athletic that he had not made a decision about the player option and added he could discuss the topic during the All-Star break with his agent, Jeff Schwartz. So the salary cap, right now is going to be exceeding $162 million right now. So it's difficult to envision owner Ted being willing to go into the luxury tax if the nucleus of players aren't demonstrating winning. And if you look at their most recent draft picks, Rui Hachimura, Denny Avdija, Corey Kispert, and Johnny Davis, it's fair to say that Avdija and Hachimura have the highest trade value. At last year's deadline, we saw the Wizards trade Spencer Dinwiddie and Montrezl Harrell. And I think it makes sense to keep, Kuzma and Avdija. I think, Hachimura could be someone who goes. And Daniel Gafford is a guy who's been starting alongside Porziņģis. Some people say he's a backup center. And Gafford's got a contract of, like 12 to 13 to $14 million. And we thought that Gafford was going to take a next level, but so far, Gafford's we're overpaying him to be a backup center. Now, Daniel Gafford could be traded, but I think they really like him and can take another step. Will Barton is supposedly going to be a buyout candidate if anybody doesn't trade for him. I don't think anyone's going to trade for him because he's a buyout candidate. Monte Morris, you know, I think has been an effective low usage, unspectacular stopgap at the point guard position for the Wizards. So and he's under contract. If they can find somebody, that'd be cool. So the Wizards, if they Wizards haven't conveyed the pick to the Knicks by 2026, the Knicks will instead owe the Knicks their second round pick in 2026 and 2027. So since the Wizards have first round obligations, they can't part with a pick until 2028, the earliest. So in theory, the Wizards can free up their 2025 pick to trade if they agree to eliminate the protection on the pick for this year. But doing so would not be to the Wizards' advantage, as they have like the sixth highest odds. So in addition to a $4 million exception they have from Aaron Holiday, they have a 5.2 from Montrezl Harrell. That's 9.2, and they can't be aggregated. So they'll expire if they're not used by the deadline. So who's getting traded? If anyone, it's Kyle Kuzma or Monte Morris or Will Barton. But it's honestly a freaking crapshoot, if we're gonna be honest. Like, I don't know who's getting traded. It's the Washington Wizards. If you've been watching this team long enough, you know to expect the unexpected. I would have never told you that we were gonna get ourselves, Kristaps Porziņģis, but here we are with Kristaps Porziņģis. So